Welcome to Subatomic Workshop. This is part 2 of my build on a workbench slash desk for my son. To see the first part, click in the top right of the screen. And so when I left off before, I had primed the workbench in certain parts, and now I went ahead and painted it. After I finished painting, I didn't get any video of it, but I also applied a polyacrylic over the paint. And I don't know anything about finishes, so I don't know if this was the correct thing to do or not. The package doesn't say not to, so we'll see how that works out. And I needed to build a small cubby. My original plan was to use the 1x4 supports as the sides, but since I'm dumb, I didn't realize they would be too shallow to fit an arm in. So I made new walls out of 1x6 for more room and cut a groove along the bottoms on the router to slip in a bottom piece. Here I went ahead and clamped them up. They would go where they would go and started to line up the grooves. As you can see from that previous shot, they need a little more work. After they were aligned, I went ahead and screwed them into place. I then took a small piece of MDF, put a groove in it, and used a roundover bit to smooth the sides to act as a lip on the front so stuff wouldn't roll out of the cubby. This is what it is, just a mock-up to show what it'll look like. I then went ahead and added a little bit more paint where it would be able to be seen, and went ahead and also finished the whole cubby up with some polyacrylic. And this will be the side that will be seen the most, and I didn't want to just leave it open, so I cut down a piece of pegboard to fit, and it fit right in that groove between the 1x6 and the 2x4s, and I went ahead and screwed it in. I then decided to add some pegboard to the open space under the shelf. I just used some small scrap wood pieces for brackets and glued and nailed them in place. I'm not 100% sure how well the glue is going to hold up onto the polyacrylic. Another test to see how it'll hold up. Back when I used to build more, I never had clamps, so it didn't occur to me to use clamps until I was almost done. And clamps are awesome. Don't forget to use your clamps and be dumb like me. Here I'm attaching the pegboard to those brackets and decided to go ahead and have a little rave party. Rave party! Okay, sorry, no more rave party. Here it is moved into my son's room, and I'm attaching the two pieces together. Now I didn't want to have to put screws to the top to keep it completely smooth, but there was a high spot in the middle and everything else I could think of that would be not screws to the top would be more prone to failure, attaching it from underneath or doweling it. So I went ahead and screwed it down to make sure the top was secure and steady. And I just tried to strategically place them so they wouldn't be too visible. And this is some of the scrap left over from the top that I decided to make a little small shelf thing out of to go on the long side of the workbench so it wasn't so plain. It's just a shelf with a lip that I'll modify or remove depending on how it works. I glued and nailed it together. I saw on DIY Tyler's video that apparently there's a special glue for Melamine. I don't have any and can't afford to go get some, so I just use normal wood glue, so we'll see how that works as well. And using melamine for the shelf and for the top gave me a chance to play with some melamine edging, which I've never used. I haven't used any edging in general. It was really easy to put on. Just watch when you're heating it that it stays straight, because after heating it seems to want to kind of go out of alignment, as I did a couple times. And to cut the edges off, I just use a razor, starting at an angle away from the melamine board and slowly moving it until it was parallel. I'm unsure if this is the easiest or best method, it's just the one I used. And be careful, as you definitely can go too far and cut through the corner and leave an ugly edge, which I also did that a few times. And this is one of those free power strips from Harbor Freight. I wanted to mount this under the workbench to plug the lights in, but the mounting holes were super shallow, so I took a plunge into my ghetto roots and velcroed it. And the best way I found to align velcro is just to put the two pieces together, expose one of the sticky sides, apply it to one of the items you want to use, expose the other sticky side, and place it where you want. Therefore, you aren't trying to line up the two velcro pieces. And my placement is pretty crooked, but it was underneath, my back was hurting, nobody was going to see it, so I'm good with where it was at. And these were my first attempt at a bracket to hold a power strip that will be visible, but this one wouldn't sit flush. The other one ended up splitting. It was holding, but I decided to go ahead and change it, so I went with this design, which was just the thickness of the kerf of my table saw blade, and the tangs to the power strip would fit in it, and I ended up just gluing them in place as the surge protector wedges it a bit and will hold them tight. And here I'm adding the finishing touches with the edge banding around the tabletop itself. And here it is sitting from what would be my son's perspective. Cubby in the front, the light switch underneath to the right, a cutting mat to help protect the tabletop as well as hide the gaps in the top. The power strip is right in front of him with enough outlets to power whatever he may need. I didn't get any video of the lights, but they are just the roll of LEDs that everybody else is using nowadays. This perspective will be what people will see when they enter his room, and with the lights on, here it is. And in this space, I originally wanted a drawer. Now I may still do that, but I'm going to let him use it for a while, see what he thinks he wants in this space. So there it is, complete. If you like the video, please like it. If you want to see more, please consider subscribing and leave any comments or questions below. Thank you for watching.